Hi, and welcome to the Spark the Heartz podcast. My name is Lizzie, and I'm an intuitive energy channel and a Reiki practitioner. This podcast is a safe space where we talk about spirituality, energetics, cycles, rebirth, and so much more. So while I'm in your field of awareness today, I hope you tune into the frequency of this episode with an open heart and a new sense of curiosity. As a reminder, you're a sovereign being, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome to episode 12. This is the final episode for season 1. You heard that right. I'm deciding to step back and take a break for a few months. I know Olive in the background, I don't know if you guys could hear that. She's like, what? But yes, I've come to realize a big process of creation is rest. And for me, rest is having slower times, not feeling the pressure to record or the pressure to come up with a new topic for the week. It's more of, I want to be in a state of creation that flows. And in order for me to have the inspiration come in, I need time to rest, play, and allow for inspiration to find me. So I'm going to be taking 2 months off by the time you listen to this podcast episode. And I should be coming back sometime the month of October. I don't know the exact date yet, but I will make sure to update you guys on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube once episode 1 of season 2 will be released for you guys. I just feel like in this world where everybody is mass producing fast, where things can be sent through a text message, an email, even just through a phone call so fast, I want to delight in the slowing down of creation. I think even with the creation of this podcast, I was reminded how I like to create. I don't really like to share outside of my network of people that I have that feeling of this is something I'm ready to share yet. A part of that is because I like being in the midst of my creation and inspiration and not being pulled into a different direction or influenced by another. I like to be inspired by spirit and led by spirit in a way when I create, it is something from my heart and it's something that's birthed naturally through me. And so I feel like season 2 is something that is asking me to slow down, to rest, in a sense, let season 1 die off from me, spiritually speaking, and let's die so that we can rebirth. So you can think of this as me just being that snake, realizing that I need the proper environment to allow for this next level of my skin to shed off of me so that I can be provided the nourishment to grow, to lengthen, and to expand. And so I say all this to say I will still be available for one-on-one sessions that are provided through my website and my booking links, which are also on the show notes of this episode and for most of my episodes, to be honest. So if you haven't checked them out, check those out. They also have the links to my social medias so that you guys can keep in touch with me during the months that I won't be posting a new podcast episode. So with that being said, I should be returning sometime in the month of October. I don't have the exact date yet, but I'll know when it feels right, and I'll make sure to post that on my social media platforms so that you guys can definitely have an update on that. And with that being said, I also wanted to share this message about how the process of creation really does ask that we sometimes release what isn't ours and allow for what is inspiration to come in. I'm a part of this program right now that's called the Psychedelic Projectors. That is being hosted by Eliana Miranda, who is a splenic projector. I myself am an emotional projector. But last week I was reminded of how important it is to empty our cups. And it is important to clear your energy daily, depending on what's been going on with your day, how you've been interacting. Everybody's aura is a lot different, but there's still that core theme of releasing to expand, releasing to solidify within our being. And so I feel like it's almost a ceremonial let go of season 1 to allow for season 2 to really be birthed to me again. Even today, I was doing a yoga practice and I felt like I really need to empty my cup. And there was times where I was feeling that the moves were so different from what I was used to. I was going with a different instructor and I felt like, oh, this isn't right. And then a voice in my head said, Lizzie, you're doing the opposite of what you're used to because you're used to filling your cup. This is what it means to empty your cup. And so sometimes doing the opposite of what you're used to is going to feel a little uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean it's not working. It just feels different. And uncomfortableness does not have to be such a negative experience if we can reframe our thought processes through it. There was a point where she was having me do a stretch where my right leg went over my left and I was on my back, and I don't know the name of the position. I do apologize, but my arms were out like a T. And we brought down the right knee over to the left side. And she had me breathe and just have an awareness, like, where do you feel the tightness? And I felt the tightness on the right side of my hip and on the back of my shoulder blade. And I just thought, oh, I've never had this awareness of my body, but I know what the meaning of these spaces mean. And so slowing down can highlight areas of your life in a different manner. Not to be negative, not to like push into your face what isn't right, but more or less to highlight to you just so that you have an awareness of it. And having awareness is so much key, because when you're ready to take the steps to move forward in the right way, it's not going to feel overwhelming. To be honest, I don't think I'm ever ready to do something. It's just birds out of me, and I slowly take the steps towards it. And so I'm bringing the attention to my hip and the left because I know there's an imbalance when it comes to receiving and giving. So I'm giving myself this space so that I can grow. And I'm giving you guys this information also, as if you want to call it, and I learned this from my therapist the other day. Thank you, girl. She called it a permission slip to rest. Give yourself a permission slip to just rest sometimes, to just play and connect to something. If things are looking so freaking chaotic out of your life, things aren't balancing out right, maybe instead of trying to push towards something that isn't feeling right, we step back from it, create some space, whatever that means to you, whatever feels right into your body or your mind or your emotions, and really take a look at it from a distance. But if you feel like you need that support, again, I am always an advocate for therapy, for energy work, for an energy therapist, for releasing through the body, through whether it be play, working out in some way, finding a practice that really helps balance you in all spaces. And it's not always just one thing. It can be a combination of things. And I realized for me the importance of having a physical practice, an emotional practice, and a mental practice, and one that's centered with my heart. Meaning, find the things that support you when those areas of your life, whether it be a physical, mental, emotional, or a spiritual aspect, you have felt is out of balance. And that your regular things that you did aren't working anymore. Like how I was noticing I needed to do something different in order to do the opposite of what I'm used to. Meaning, do the opposite of what you're used to and see how that works out. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that doesn't mean it's not working. I want to go ahead and finally give you guys the The topic of today's podcast episode, because I feel like that was a message all on its own that I didn't realize was going to be birthed out of me because I kept seeing this imagery and all this information come through. But I hope if it resonated, drop me a line on whatever platform you're listening to this on so that I know this is of service to you, and as well as to anyone who just needed confirmation of what their practices they're doing. I feel like I've recently shared, when your energy is flowing in the right ways, it really shows in your life. And if it's not flowing in the right ways, it really does show up in your life. So be aware consciously of where you're at. Now, episode 12's title is The Flower of Life and How the Divine Matrix It Unfolds Supports Us All. This is something that I went to Spirit for and asked for, a topic that can really support you during the times that I'm not here. So if you need to revisit this podcast episode a few times to remind you that it's okay to rest, it's okay because you are interconnected with something that's bigger than you, do so. Give yourself the permission slip to do so. My intention is to remind you of how you are connected to everything in this life, not just to your family, but to the earth, the stars, and to the rhythms of life, to remind you of your divine role in this life and how amazing it is for you to even be here right now. It isn't by chance, and you are in no way, shape, or form a mistake. That's Porky in the background. That's my Frenchie. She's kind of close to the mic. I'm actually recording on the floor of my living room. And she just wanted to say, mic drop for you guys. Ditto. You are in no way, shape, or form a mistake. No matter what someone may have said or made you feel about their choices. You were divinely chosen to be here. And even science proves it now. It's not like how we were always told that the fastest, and the strongest swimmer got to the egg. The egg had a choice to select you. Your father's sperm, your mother's egg. There has to be a chemical reaction that is just right for you to be here. And the fact that you were then connected to the seed of life through the splitting of the cells, that in itself is a message of how you are multiplying the universe within you. So you are very important, and every cell in your body is important. And how you feel, think, see, and are is important. But what's even more important is you don't lose sight of how big the cosmic vision is for you. Meaning that when you step on this earth, you are connected. That when you look up to the skies, you are connected. When you think about your family, when you think about it as whatever you care for in this life, you are connected. And you are connected in ways that go far beyond the physical. This is something that can connect you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, on so many levels than past the physical. And these words may hit everybody who tunes in at different levels, because I understand we are all at different levels of consciousness and awareness in our own lives. But if you want to have an imagery, I'm going to give you one through a dream that I actually received back in April of 2021. I wrote this down in my dream journal, and I remembered that dream, and I still vividly see it in my head. I may not know all of the dynamics, and I'm so glad I wrote down a portion of it, but I remember just floating in my dream and being shown the seed of life. And at this point, I'm just going to read it out of my journal log so that you guys get the full effect of what was happening, because an individual was being represented by just a ring, like the outline of a circle. You can go right through it, but there's an outline of a circle. And when we connect to another, it's like two circles interlinking. And by the time that multiple circles, interlink, there's a network of consciousness as oneness that forms. And this is what I wrote back in 2021. I was shown in a dream a while back that our life/consciousness is a circle. A vast information is held in that circle. And when we connect with another, we not only share experiences, but our consciousness. Some people are more aware of it than others. It's like a network that overlays our reality. Though we may not be able to see it with our own eyes as easily, it is there, just like the air we breathe. There is so much information all around us. Just tuning into it will give you so much more knowledge of everything that you think is outside of you, but really it flows within you. We're all connected in this space. This was described to me as the fifth dimension, which is a state of conscious awareness that extends from not just a one person being aspect, but to the vast inner web with everything and everyone. Plants, people, earth, stones, food, and everything that is energy. We go beyond ourselves. And that is what fifth dimensional conscious network oneness is. And so this was something I dreamed back in 2021. When I was asking Spirit for this inspiration, I pulled a card from the Gateway of Light activation. The card was the Divine Matrix, interconnectedness, synchronicity, and God instances, meaning coincidence from God. The definition here reads, everything is connected. Everything that was, is, and ever will be connected by an invisible bond of energy, uniting every living being from the past, present, and even future. This isn't a new idea. Every great mystic through the ages has understood that everything is one, and now scientists are beginning to provide evidence for it. The best way to describe the connection is a lattice or grid, a divine matrix. We're all points on this grid, and we're all connected through it. It links us to our ancestry and loved ones, aspects of ourselves, past, present, and future, and also the ancient and divine wisdom held in the quantum field of the universe. This card shows a giant stargate opening up to the universe in a piece of sacred geometry known as the flower of life. This is quite literally a two-dimensional image of the divine matrix, and the information held within it can help us begin to understand the inner and outer workings of this incredible universe. If you spend time with this image, you'll find multiple images within it, reminding us all that nothing is happening by chance, and that even when we can't fully comprehend it, there's a greater plan unfolding. Now, if you'd like to connect with this, you can meditate on the flower of life image that's on this gateway card. I'll share a photo on my Instagram and TikTok so that you guys can see it. And you can affirm out loud or within yourself these following words. I am connected to all beings, all intelligence, and all forms of light, past, present, and future. I am one with the one. Now, your message for this card is, you are in alignment with the oneness of life and the inner workings of the universe. You are part of something great. That means that you are greatness expressing itself. Not one thing in your life has happened by chance. Even when you felt that things have been against you, a process has been unfolding, helping you understand your connectedness to all things. So there's no need to feel insignificant or lonely. It's also important to remember that the universe is always working in your favor and for your highest good. You may have felt lost, but know that nothing is ever lost, for we're all held in the heart of Source, and love is our connection to all things. So again, you are here for a reason. You are not a chance, a mistake. No matter what anybody has ever said, made you feel, or think about their choices or the choices of another, you're here for a reason. Walk with it. Breathe that in your being. And know it truly, and believe it more for yourself than anybody outside of you will ever believe, because you are important. And another aspect I wanted to bring into this episode is, why is it important to consciously connect to it? Because you have always been connected to this from the moment that you were conceived in your mother's womb. Whether or not you were consciously aware of it, you have always been connected to this matrix of life. And if you can take a moment to either visualize it, draw it out on a piece of paper, and see yourself as that circular ring, and understand that the colors and the effects of whatever color that outline of that circle is are different pinpoints of your life. And they connect you to your ancestry through that seed of life. How many ancestors do you think you've had pop up into your field through the seed of life? If you can imagine that your grandmother and your grandfather overlap and draw that on a piece of paper, see your parents, see your siblings, and organize it. This is how you can connect emotionally with people. This is how you can connect telepathically with people. This is ancient knowledge that comes from your ancestry. And the only thing you need to do is to tap into your body. Get quiet, do the opposite, and see how it comes in. I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time, but I'm trying to remind you of the wisdom that your body holds in this physical reality. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on spiritual gifts and being able to see and do all these things. But one of my greatest gifts, and I'm so happy for having this awareness, is the feeling. Not just the feeling of other people's things, but having a clear awareness of what is mine that I'm feeling and what isn't. And it took spending time with myself and removing the things that weren't mine, that sat there. Things that were said when I was a child, things that I felt that crossed generational timelines, meaning there were things, and I'm going to give you a story so this can really sink into you, because I remember I would always have this fear of the front door never being locked the right way. And so I don't think any of my other siblings ever said anything. My mom never said anything. But before I would go to bed, I would always make sure the front door was locked. Why? I have no clue. This went on for years. I mean, years. I'm literally, as I can remember, being conscious maybe 5, 6 of like having to make sure the door is locked. And growing up, and this is the front door of the house, and just growing up until I'm like 20 something. And I think as of recently in my 30s, this finally was like revealed to me as why I had this feeling. My mom literally told me she would always have this reoccurring dream as a kid that the front door was never locked the right way. And she grew up in the rancho, which is like out in the countryside on a ranch. And she said, I remember having this reoccurring dream for the longest time that I can remember, that the front door is not locked right. And she goes, in the dream, I'm always trying to close it, but the hinge wouldn't go on there. And she said she was a girl having this dream. And I said, oh my God, you were the reason. You were the reason I had this weird ass feeling of the door not being closed right. She never vocalized this to me in all of my life. None of my siblings ever said anything. And until she finally had this magical moment of like, oh yeah, of like having to tell this to me. And this is like a theme for me and my mom, where I'll, start doing some work and clearing out stuff. And then the answers come after. The why. Even though I knew I had this feeling since I was a kid and couldn't give you a reasonable explanation as to why I felt this anxiousness or need to go and close the front door, or this like feeling of like, I gotta make sure the front door is locked. Come to find out, my mom always felt that as a kid, but she never voiced it to me. And she mentioned that the front door at the ranch had like this really flimsy lock. It would not be secure. And so I thought to myself, this is what ancestral intelligence can also form as. It's a little bit louder because fear is something that makes us feel really uncomfortable. When there is something running through your dreams or running through your body, or this feeling, it's not always just yours. It could literally be from ancestors that lived thousands of years ago, and you have no reason why. There's no reason why you would feel this way. You just have a feeling. That's part of the survival programming of your brain. That's part of the generational intelligence that is held in your blood. It is not by chance that these things are coming up. Yeah, you can pick up feelings from others, but if you can get clearer about what is yours and what is not yours, the answers will flow to you. And that has been a big thing in my life, where I start to do the work. I start to feel the feelings, and I start to get clear of what are mine and what aren't. And it's so easier to push out what is not mine and not let it run through my body like I used to as a kid, not let it run through my mind or my emotions. And I'm not saying I'm perfect all the time, but when you gain a sense of awareness as to when things are hitting your auric field that aren't yours, it's easier to maneuver through life, understanding that collectively there's something shifting in the airways that is not truly mine, but I'm feeling it in my physical body. And if I can call it out, and this is another thing that I love, because again, going back to getting the support in the areas that you need, I had a mentorship session with my mentor, and she reminded me about how just speaking things out loud dispels them. So speak these things out loud, get them out of your body, because they have been running and wreaking havoc on generations because the fear of speaking up. And I'm here to remind you it's important, and I'm getting really emotional about this because it's important to speak your truth. It's important to be honest with yourself first, so that when you're out there in this world, it is not fearful to be honest with others. Because when you speak your truth, it aligns you to that which is meant for you. And when you're speaking this truth, it's going to align you to what is not for you, because the vibrancy, the frequency, the broadcasting signal that you are sending out is not one that is connected with who you really are. And you're getting all this stuff attracted to you because it's not in alignment until you choose, and it forces you to be in that cycle of uncomfortableness for you to finally speak your truth. And so slowing down, I think, is a big thing right now. Slowing down, becoming aware of yourself, spending time with yourself, and looking at the areas in your life that have been highlighted as of lately. What are some things you can do differently that feel right in the moment, that do not harm another intentionally, but allows you to bring out your light, allows you to bring out more of your light, allows you to speak your truth, allows you to create the right environment so that you can shed the skin that's been stuck. And if you need that support, I want to remind you that you have a big team in spirit, and that you have a big team in this physical world that is waiting for you to align with them. Start speaking your truth and seeking out the physical actions that can support you. Because in reality, it's your time to shine, babe. It's your time to live your life. It's your time to be in your truth. The seed of life reminds me of that. It's important to connect with it because it can guide you to deeper truths. And I may only understand and fathom the intensity and the depthness of this beautiful geometric, sacred geometric seed of life actively supports us because it's interweaving all of us, whether we're family or not, whether you are my neighbor, whether you are my pet, whether you are a plant in my heart, it does not matter. We are all interconnected on multiple levels. And it takes emptying out to really see the profoundness of this connectedness sometimes, meaning unplugging for a little bit, having a sense of solitude, because then you'll realize how connected we are when you do go into spaces like a cafe, when you go into spaces of work, when somebody comes to your home and you can feel how they connected to you. There is a lot more happening on multiple levels. And it's how tuned in or dialed in you are and open to the receptivity of these signals. that are broadcasting daily, but the people who slow down and allow themselves to listen and create that space and build that awareness and that relationship with these signals of the divine, of spirit, of your bloodline, of yourself. You get to tune into a real frequency and not the fake ones that are being broadcasted through the airwaves in our physical reality. And what I mean by that, take it how you want to feel it, but for me it's those TV commercials that just give me the irk, and they're just broadcasting all these solutions when in reality you can literally see with your eyes all the side effects. But yet they're broadcasting and showing you this beautiful imagery, but the feeling behind it, you can get past a lot of things if you learn how to clear up how you feel. That's definitely been a saving grace in my life. And sometimes just even the commercials that you hear on the radio, if you guys still listen to radio or even podcasts, tune into how your body feels about things sometimes, because that will give you a truth that your mind and your eyes sometimes don't catch on to as quickly, because things are built to entice you. They put on beautiful colors, they put on beautiful music, but your body has this way and this ancient knowledge to pick up on bullshit, to pick up on lies, to pick up on things that aren't aligned. But it is important to focus on the body and feed it what it needs, because when it is operating at optimal level, meaning your gut is flowing, you're going to the bathroom more frequently in a way that supports you and it's not draining you, and your skin feels hydrated, your lips don't feel dry, your hair is growing, your eyesight is better, the things that are not in alignment are going to stand out a lot more to your body. Take it, leave it. Again, this is your reminder that your body is this beautiful vessel and this instrument, and it can tune into broadcasting signals. We are all frequency. Your voice is a signal and it is a frequency in itself, but it also is tuning into things outside of you. You have the grace and the blessing to get to know what your signal is, so that when you're tuning into other signals, you can figure out if those signals feel good to you. If this was something that would have been taught to me when I was a kid, I could have avoided so many mistakes, but in actuality, I would have never gained the wisdom. So I'm going to rephrase this as, I'm speaking to you guys from a broadcasting signal that has fucked up, and learn the uncomfortable way of how important it is to tune into your body, of how important it is to feed your body the right things, of how important it is to spend time with yourself and really get clear about who you are, because I didn't do those things. I didn't. But by not doing those things, it taught me how important those things are and how much it clears up. And now that I do those things, I'm on the other side of it saying it's so much easier to see, hear, feel. Doesn't make it easier to make the decisions to do the right things all the time. I will be honest about that. There are times where I still choose to do something that ends up being like, it messed up my stomach. I should have trusted my gut or my intuition when I had that feeling, but I chose to override that for whatever XY reason, whether it be for comfort for my body or comfort to, whether through food or the idea that, if I allow for this person to come in and do whatever they need to do, it'll be okay. For the comfort of having somebody like me or be a comfort to me, or just to provide some type of feeling of belonging, doesn't always end up being the right choice. And I've learned that the price to pay when I make those decisions, but I'm learning a lot, is sometimes my feelings get hurt. And sometimes I feel the physical effects in my body. And it's not always fun, but it does also ensure that I understand what the heck is going on a lot more. And so I say all this with love, and I say all this with, on the other side of awareness, that you don't always have to keep hitting the same wall to finally learn a lesson. If you can sit back and kind of reflect and provide yourself the space, you can tune yourself into your real frequency. And it's not a sense of being avoidant of the situation, but it's more of you're flowing in tune, and you're that river and that stream, and you're flowing through it. And no matter if there are rocks along the way, your stream finds its way to make it to wherever space it needs to be, to provide nourishment for yourself and nourishment for others, but in a way that flows and it overflows, and it's not being blocked by obstacles. So again, connecting consciously with the divine matrix of life, the seed of life, is really important because it's all over you. It's in every cell of your body. It is in your heart. It is in your being. You are this. And when you allow it to unfold, it connects you to bigger aspects in this life. Source, God, ancestry, your team in spirit, the earth, the elementals, the plants. The possibilities are endless, but your intentions are what really allows for energy to flow there. So being intentional and open and willing to release helps fill your cup too. So gonna end this podcast episode here because I feel like there's a lot of good messages, and I even pulled that card for you guys that really supported with me talking about this subject to begin with. It really helped me see how our past, present, and future do connect, because I had that dream from the past, but at that time when I had the dream, it was in my present, and my future self is now connecting to the past and the present in a way that really amplifies the meaning of this sacred geometric shape of the seed of life. We are all interconnected, and it is no surprise. It's just we were not taught and we were not shown how this really interconnects within all of us and around us. But if we were not taught it, it is important to seek it if it is of interest, if it is something that is calling to your heart, because I feel like this unfolds multiple truths. And it is the person that is doing the seeking and the understanding and the embodiment of it. You're going to have your own experience with this. I'm just sharing mine so that you have an understanding from my viewpoint of how much connecting to the seed of life, or how it chose to come to me and speak to me through a dream, helped me realize even more now how interconnected we are, and how just spending some time with that sacred symbol can really help you bloom even more. So I will be gone for the next 2 months or so. I hope this podcast episode supports you. And again, if it's one that you want to revisit at any time to remind you of how important you are, how your signal is truth. And when you are more in your truth, more in alignment, everything outside of you shows it. From your body to your relationships, to your work, to your creativity. And it is reflected out of you so much, so strongly, and so willingly. So I'll leave you guys on that note. I'll see you in the month of October, loves. Have a great one and enjoy the rest of your summer. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in today. To stay up to date on all my happenings and offerings, I invite you to follow me on my YouTube channel and Instagram, which is at @sparkthehearts with the Z at the end. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, please see the links to my booking page and website on the show notes of this episode. Thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to our next gathering. Bye for now.